can't stop thinking about my twin flame. How do I make it stop? Hi everyone, welcome to Twin Flame Weekly, episode 15. So if you're watching this, you're thinking about your twin flame all the time and it's driving you freaking crazy. Well, this is the video for you. We're going to dig into why that is happening and how to make those thoughts stop, which is super, super important. This is something that I really struggled with initially after meeting my twin, and especially after discovering he was this character known as the elusive twin flame, which I had previously not heard of before. And as I've said many times before, I was like, what fresh hell is this? But before that, if we've never met and you don't know who I am and what I'm all about, I'm Cheryl Muir and I'm a catalyst for twin flame healing and ascension, healing the divine feminine heart, one twin flame at a time. Quite obviously, I'm a twin flame myself. And I want to say thank you to all of you for watching, for tagging friends, for commenting, for sharing, all of it. Even if you're watching on the DL, I know there's many of you because I get those messages privately. So thank you for watching. I'm really, really grateful. Final announcement, my one-on-one private program, Powerless to Empowered, is enrolling and the early bird ends on August 1st, which I believe is Wednesday. Whatever day of the week August 1st is, that's when the early bird ends. So if you want to get in for a very, very reasonable rate, then now is the time to do that. We are going to be enrolling Powerless to Empowered throughout the summer. So I hope you will join us for that to really dive deep and get into your particular twin flame situation, because there's only so much we can do in this medium and everyone is different. No two twin flame journeys are the same, which, let me tell you, teaching on it makes a very interesting set of circumstances because there are differences. We have different karma, we have different soul paths and soul contracts, twin flame dynamics, different physical situations. You might be from a different cultural background to your twin, which brings up a lot of stuff. So there's a lot to dig into and it's going to be different for everyone. So I hope you will join me if you need some extra help. You can, of course, always book a private session with me. I do 60-minute sessions and multiple of 15 minutes. So 15 minutes, 30 and 45 minutes as well. So on to our topic then. I'm really riled up already. I think it's going to be one of those videos where I rant, so brace yourself. So you can't stop thinking about your twin and it's driving you crazy and you don't know what to do and you don't know what's going on and you're convinced it's because they're your twin flame. So of course you can't get them out of your head, right? Wrong. So here's the thing. There are elements of the twin flame journey that are different to any other dynamic, for sure. Like that is certain. There are certain things like the telepathy side, the spiritual side, the feeling of the connection that is different from a soulmate or a karmic partner or a friend or just like a regular other human being. There are differences, abso-freaking-lutely. But here's the thing as well. That doesn't mean, just because it's different from a lot of connections, it doesn't mean that other stuff doesn't apply, such as logic. Logic does apply to the twin flame journey. Believe it or not, no matter what you've heard and read about the fifth dimension and the seventh dimension and all this other fucking shit that I don't know where it's come from. Like, who started talking about this? Everyone just started regurgitating the same information. It's crazy. Not to say that there are not other dimensions and realities. Of course there are, but we're here on Earth having an experience in Earth school, on Earth, with the rain tapping against the window. Incidentally, how good is it that it's raining in England? If you're following me on Instagram, I've been talking about the weather a lot because I'm British and we like to talk about the weather. But there's rain coming in, it feels so good. But that's the thing, we're on Earth, we can see rain, we can see trees, we can see the sky, right? We're on planet Earth. So this whole thing of being up in the fifth dimension and all this other shit, it's not really that helpful. It's not inaccurate, it's just not very helpful to your healing. And it's a little thing I like to call spiritualizing dysfunction. So you're using the fact that this person is your twin flame to justify really, really dysfunctional behavior. So let's talk about the ways in which you are connected. You are connected in the heart and the soul, right? You're connected through the heart chakra. That's the feeling. You are connected through the soul because you share a soul. And through that, you're connected through spirit and through telepathy. So that's the heart and that's the soul. So what about the thoughts? The thoughts are your mind. Your mind is not connected to your twin. This is your mind. It's not their mind. Yes, you're connected through the heart chakra. Yes, you share a soul, but this is your brain box. It's not theirs, right? You will more than likely have a very different personality to your twin flame. Very different. If you are very feeling and very intuitive and very creative, they are likely very logical, very rational, very in their head, methodical, very businessy, right? The reason is it's yin and yang. It's the perfect complement to each other. So should you come together as a team, you'll make the perfect team because you have different strengths and weaknesses. That's the brain. That's things like personality, psychology, ways of communicating, other things. It's like nature versus nurture. The way they were raised might be different to you. This is all human stuff. It's all mind stuff, and you have complete control of that at all times. So this whole thing of, oh, well, of course I'm thinking about him all the time because he's my twin, is complete bullshit. Because what your twin's doing is they are showing you all the wounds that need to be healed. So let's just take a wild stab in the dark here. I'm just going to guess that this obsessive thinking about your twin flame is not a new pattern. Let's let that one marinate for a second. Drop the mic on that one. I was really picking up the mic there. Dropping the mic on that one. So it's not the first time, is it? It's not the first time that you've been obsessing about a guy or a woman or whatever the gender is. It doesn't fucking matter. It's not the first time you've done this, is it? Be honest. Be honest with me. Or just be honest with yourself, really. It's not the first time you've done this. It's a pattern, and your twin is showing you this pattern, and you're going, this isn't cute. This isn't cute anymore, right? It's not. How do I know this? Because I obsessed about different characters throughout all of my 20s. I wasted a lot of time on that shit. And I would find myself in these fantasy relationships, and I would find myself blaming the other person for not committing to me or not choosing me. But guess what? I was the common denominator. And when I met my twin and I started doing this again, I'm like, oh shit, it's that old pattern that's coming up again. And also, with you being the divine feminine, you are more awakened than your twin, typically. Again, not all journeys are the same, but 99% of the time, the divine feminine is more awakened than her masculine. Knowing that, this is not your first rodeo in spirituality and personal development. You know what your wounds are. And so when this comes up, you go, oh, it's that wound again. It's that feeling of, I don't feel worthy, and so I'm going to attach myself to someone. I'm going to choose someone who's not choosing me. I don't feel I deserve better, and I'm going to attach myself to them, and I'm going to create this fantasy relationship in my head, because if they're a fantasy, then they can't hurt me, right? Does that make sense? So there's the wound side. They're showing you your wounds. And also remember, all of this is happening in your mind. Your thoughts are in your mind. So how do you control your own mind? Well, it's self-awareness first. It's being aware of what's happening, which is what we've just done. We've brought awareness to it. We've shined a light on it. And now that you have that self-awareness, you have a choice, and then you can choose to reach self-mastery. Self-mastery is mastering your thoughts. It's feeling pissed off and then saying, no, I'm going to choose another emotion. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to put on a song and dance for a little bit. I'm going to choose another thought. I'm going to choose to tell myself a different story. I'm going to choose to empower myself with positive beliefs and positive affirmations. And I'm making that choice. And you shift to a different state, a different emotional state. You shift to a different vibration. And that's a choice. And that's in your head. And that is self-mastery. And self-mastery is one of the goals of the twin flame journey. It's not about unconditional love, but we talked about unconditional love the other week. It does come, but you've got to get self-mastery first. So it's really about mastering your own thoughts. So if you're thinking about them all the time, what you need to do is really get honest with yourself, get really quiet, sit in a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, and ask yourself what's going on. Get really honest about the pattern, journal it out, allow the journaling questions to come through to you intuitively. So you might ask yourself things like, is this a pattern for me? What is the pattern? Why is it a pattern? When has it happened before? What's the first instance of this pattern occurring? And why is that? Where did it come from? How does it make me feel? What do I gain from this? what am I gaining from this? What am I gaining from this wound, right? We don't do things for no reason. We're very, very smart. Our subconscious is very, very smart. And we do things for a net gain, right? We're gaining something from it. So what are you gaining from obsessing about a guy that's not committing to you? Well, you're probably gaining the feeling of being in a relationship, right? You're gaining the feeling of being in a relationship without any of the risk of someone rejecting you, without any of the intimacy and getting close to someone, because that's scary as fuck, and without this engulfment, without getting engulfed. So you're looking at abandonment wounds, fear of intimacy, and fear of engulfment. So just Google that shit. I'll probably talk about it more, but just there's information freely available on fear of intimacy, abandonment wounds, and fear of engulfment. So there's a lot there. There's a lot to chew on, right? There's a lot to chew on, and you can choose not to think about certain things. And if you're not there yet, then you need to start mastering your mind. And there's lots of different ways to do this. We've been through a few ways today, and this may not be a twin flame issue. This may be just a straight up meat and potatoes coaching issue of getting control of your own mind, right? Hope that was helpful. I channeled most of that and blacked out, so I don't actually know what I told you, but I trust it was useful. You may feel like you don't have a choice in the twin flame journey. You absolutely do. And also, I keep meaning to talk about this, and perhaps this is the right forum to do so. So I had a really interesting situation about a month ago when someone left the Infinite Love Facebook group, which, by the way, there's a surprise coming for the Infinite Love Facebook group. And basically, if you join before August 1st, you're going to be in for an exclusive offer that I'm going to be announcing to my tribe first. It's going to be announced publicly on August 15th. So join before August 1st to get in on the offer. Otherwise, you'll have to wait till August 15th to find out what it is. I would just get in if I were you. That's all I'm going to say. So I had an interesting situation in my Facebook group, Infinite Love, about a month ago. And this is really the first time this has happened, and the only time this has happened. It hasn't happened before or since. And this person tagged me in the group and said, please just remove me from the group. I can't find the button to do it. Just remove me. And when I saw this in the morning in the UK, they must have already figured it out and they were no longer in the group. So I thought, okay, this is really interesting. And I read her whole post and I really felt for her because she was in a lot of pain. But she was saying in all caps, here's what you need to tell any twin flames. Run for the effing hills. Don't engage with your twin flame. Just run. It's nothing but endless torture and endless pain. And even as I say this, I feel like my stomach contracting. I feel like, oh God, it feels so heavy. But yeah, she was saying it's just torture. It's just like run. So if that's where you're at and you're feeling like a massive martyr about this, then know that you have a choice. And first of all, I really do empathise about how difficult things have been for you. I really, really do. I've been there as well. I posted something at the weekend about overcoming addiction, and it's not something I've talked about a lot, and I may not talk about it again. I may do, who knows. But I talked about my overcoming drug and alcohol addiction, and it's important to have mentioned that to you, because it's easy to look at me and be like, oh, it's easy for you to say. No, I've got kind of a big mouth and I'm very direct. That's my Mercury in Aries. I'm very direct in my communication. So I say it as it is, but it might be easy to look at me and be like, oh, it's easy for you to say because you've had nothing to overcome. Like, you don't even know. Like, you don't even know the shit I've had to overcome. It's been intense. But it's a choice, right? It's a choice. And if you are seeing yourself as someone that's deeply wounded, if you're seeing yourself as someone who's like, poor me, this is horrible, I'm just going to say the thing, and I'm bracing myself for some hate mail here. You're in a victim mindset, right? And that's not to say things haven't been hard for you, because they have, and I'm sorry for how difficult things have been. I really am. I understand. I've been through it too. I've been through more shit than I've even talked about online. There's some things I've never talked about, right? That were really dark. And I'm sorry for how hard things have been. And it wasn't your fault what happened to you. But there comes a point when you have to make a choice. You have to make a choice, and the best revenge is living your best life. The best revenge is living your best life. So if you've been through bullying and assault and abuse and depression and other mental health issues and addictions, just some of the things that I have in my back pocket of experience. If you've been through that, you have a choice now, right? And those people that did that to you, the best way to get revenge is to be one happy motherfucker. To be happy and to be living your best life and to be in service and to be in a really, really good place. That's the best way to overcome that. You have every right to be angry. I've talked about anger quite a lot, and anger is a top level emotion. There's always things underneath the anger. So release the rage first. You can do that with someone in person, like a life coach in person, where they can, in a controlled way, do an anger release exercise. A lot of progressive counsellors do anger release too, and anger release is basically just getting the anger out of your system by beating the crap out of something. It's really good. If not, failing that, go to the gym, do kickboxing, anything where you can kind of punch and kick and physically get out your system, because you can't bypass this. If you're angry, and that has to be got out of your system before you can deal with what's underneath, which is usually sadness, shame, guilt, humiliation, just feeling really hurt, feeling really broken. So you've got to deal with the anger first. So if you are angry, which the point I'm getting to is that what was coming from that member of my group is she was angry, and I understand that, but if you haven't dealt with that, you're not going to move forward. You're going to stay in this cycle of this happened to me and I'm pissed off and it's not fair. You're not wrong, but is that the way you want to live? Right? You have a choice now. You didn't have a choice that happened to you. That is not your fault, right? Don't get this twisted. What happened to you is not your fault. But you now have a choice what you're going to choose. Are you going to choose to stay angry? There's that whole North American native proverb of staying angry at another person is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It is. You being angry is hurting you. It's not fucking hurting them. And forgiving what happened, and that's a process. It's getting rid of the anger. It's dealing with the emotions underneath. And then when you're ready, and only when you're ready, then move to forgiveness. We're very quick to go, I need to forgive and be in love and light. You can't be if you're mad as hell. You've got to get the anger out of your system. That's what you need to do. Otherwise, you're polishing a turd. We've talked about polishing turds before. I will continue to talk about the polishing of the turds because there's a lot of turds being polished in spirituality. So I need to keep reminding you about it. So get rid of the anger and then deal with it and then process it, really process it, and go into counselling to do that, right? Otherwise, you stay in this mindset of it's not fair, poor me. And you're not in the mindset of it's not fair, poor me because of your twin flame, right? They're reflecting that to you. They're showing you that you are stuck as a victim. When I met my twin, we both had gaping, open emotional wounds, like wounded as fuck. And I'd done a lot of work at that point. That was 2017 and I started doing the work in 2010, right? So it was not my first rodeo. And I knew what my wounds were, but he really shone a light on them. He really held that mirror up to me and showed me. And I'm like, oh, this is ugly. I don't like that at all. And it's not about rejecting any sort of self-acceptance or rejecting yourself. It's about taking all that stuff out of you and putting it out on the table and going, this isn't me. Like, let's look, that's not me. That's not me. That's not who I am. Do you know what I mean? So that was an interesting situation in my Facebook group, and I had a lot of empathy, but what was happening in her situation was that, one, it wasn't a twin flame. That could be an option. It could have been a karmic partner or someone that was here to teach you a lesson. But if there was, like, she was sort of mentioning that it was an abusive situation. Like, I don't give a fuck what label you give to it. If there's abuse, get out of there. Period. The end. Like, the end. So that's number one. Perhaps it wasn't a twin flame. Or two, someone wasn't learning their lesson. Maybe both of them weren't learning their lessons. They weren't doing the work, right? They weren't. There was anger there. You haven't dealt with that anger. Go deal with that anger, right? A coach may not be the best person for that. It might be a counsellor if it's something that's faced in the past. Like, what are you angry about? Journal on that. Why am I angry? What's happened? Anger can be a really positive thing too. You know, I found myself the other day getting really frustrated, and I was speaking to one of my best friends who's a coach, and she was like, okay, so what's going on? And I'm like, I'm angry at this, and I'm angry at that. And it's never the thing that you think you're angry about. So I was compartmentalizing all. I'm like, oh, this is why I feel this way. And then this is what needs to change. And I had this idea for a new thing. And I'm like, oh, I get it now. So anger can be a really good thing. And we have this stigma around angry women and sad men. Like if a woman feels sad, we think it's fine. And if a guy feels angry, we're like, oh, that's fine, because guys feel angry sometimes. But if it's the other way around, like a woman feels rage or a guy feels sad, we judge them. It's fucked up. So emotions are feedback. So listen to your emotions and listen to why you're feeling that way and deal with it. But don't stay in this spiral of, oh, my twin flame is a jerk and poor me. Takes two to tango. Takes two to tango. It does. As you can see, it's not the issue you think it is. You're not able to stop thinking about your twin flame, but it's not because it's your twin flame and it's not their fault either. It's something that's going on within you that's causing you to obsess and attach and be in this fantasy relationship. And you need to really unravel that and find out what's going on underneath that. If you want to work with me to do that, you're more than welcome to do so. You can book single sessions with me on my website, cherylmuir.com, and my longer term program, Powerless to Empowered, is enrolling, and the early bird rate ends on August the 1st. So that is that. I hope you'll join us next week for more Twin Flame Weekly. You can find me on the interwebs on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. My handle's there at Cheryl J. Muir. And I'm sending you all infinite love. Bye for now.